Role-Playing a Warlock Patron Part 3, the Archfey. A criminally underrepresented Warlock patron in my opinion. You should absolutely try it if you have not already. It's a fantastic option. Lots of cool illusory tricks and misdirection, which is exactly how you should treat the patrons. Patrons of Fey are often powerful Archfey that are trying to exert their influence over either the Feywild or the material plane, and somehow advance their millennia-long politicking. The first choice that will be directing your roleplay is, does this patron belong to either the Summer Court, the Winter Court, i.e. the Seelie Fey or the Unseelie Fey? Those aren't always the same thing, but they're often conflated. Or do they sort of eschew either of those options and work independently for their own purposes? I will also note that unlike the Fiend patron, there's not a lot of monster stat blocks in the default Wizards of the Coast offerings that can really hit that perfect Archfey note, so you'll probably have to go to third-party supplements if you want to stat block out your patron. However, I don't think that's always necessary. As for how to roleplay them, if they're Seelie, they're going to be warm, they're going to be affectatious. In general, they'll kind of be a nice guy. You know, they'll want the player to succeed, both for their own purposes and for the players. But that doesn't mean they're above doing some little tricksy stuff too. Lies by omission, sort of hiding some of the facts, specifically in ways that kind of like complicate the drama, like, oh, did I not mention that thing I wanted was guarded by a dragon? Well, you've proven yourself worthy. That kind of trickery, perfect for a Seelie Fey. Unseelie are not necessarily going to be evil, but they are definitely going to lean into those darker elements of the Fae. They want to bind you to their service. They like to corrupt mortals, or at the very least, cause problems for mortals. This could be anyone from a hag to a very still, beautiful elven sort of look, but just with a little bit of a macabre sense, right? These are the kind of people that would see a juggling act using skulls as delightful entertainment. Not that they relish violence, they just like the juxtaposition of life and death, joy and sadness. If you're looking for a pop culture relevant touchstone at the moment, Morticia Addams would make a perfect Unseelie Fae. And then there's the Fae that are outside the court. They're going to largely function the same as the other two, they just might be a little bit more, down to earth, down to nature. They're more primordial, they live in the roots and the trees and the deep boughs of the world, and they're a little bit more aligned with nature, less politicking. So they might be a little bit more of like an eco-terrorist kind of vibe, or trying to quell a corruption in the wood. Whereas the court-based Fae might be looking to gain an advantage on rivals, or to sabotage someone that's going into a tournament. Perhaps using this as a good chance to throw a carnival and have a little bit of shenaniganery happen with the carnival games. How about you? Have you ever roleplayed an Archfey or a Fae? And if so, what did you do to make them come to life? Share it in the comments.